What's going on, guys? Welcome to August episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and at the end of the month, we talk about our experience with it. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
And real quick, I just want to welcome the over 40 new subs from Reddit. We just had Plus Club, where we talked about Sniper Elite 4 and Wipeout.
Yes.
We had a great conversation over at Reddit, so thank you for that, and thank you for anybody who decided to join the community. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy the content we put out. So this show also is very similar to Plus Club in the sense that we also play another game. We put that burden on ourselves and play it throughout the month, but these games are typically picked at random. But we have a new system this year where we are picking games
Quarterly.
I already picked my game earlier this year. Chris already picked his game earlier this year, and in between those times we pick those games, we are picking them at random, like I said. But before we get into Ori and the Blind Forest, which was our game of the month for August, Chevy, is finally your month. So,
Am I picking before his thing?
oh yeah,
Okay.
we got to get that out of the way so we can tell people what we're playing next month. So, like I said, quarterly we get to pick the game.
Yeah.
We've already made our picks, and then I also want to remind you guys that our last month, which is December, will be community choice game of the month. I think it's December, right?
October, November, December. Yes.
I don't think there's a month after December of the year. I've been playing Control, so everything doesn't make sense. That's my excuse all day today. Now I tend to think something goes wrong, so like I've been playing Control. So yeah, and we're still trying to figure that out. But after this next month, where we'll be playing Chevy's pick for game of the month, we will start essentially taking in suggestions. We'll probably tally them up, and the four that come up the most throughout the next couple months, we'll put to a vote. Probably we'll figure it out, and then we'll play that as game of the month.
Yeah,
So,
you got any ideas on how we should do that? Feel free to let us know as
yeah.
well. So.
I have some loose ideas, but pretty much whatever you want the game of the month in December to be, start fucking throwing it in the comments, and I'll start tallying that up. So if you don't want to participate, that's fine as well. But if you do, there's a good chance that will be the game of the month. So if you want us to play a game, start being vocal about it. Chevy. So we're moving into September,
Yes.
right? This year's just a blur for me. It's your pick for game of the month. So I'll give you the floor, however you want to present that.
Well, I originally had three games that I was having a hard time picking between.
You better
And-
reveal those games to the audience
And I'm
before.
going to.
Cool.
Yeah. So I finally narrowed it down, and I'll give you my reason when I get there, obviously. So my runners-up were Minecraft, because I figured that was a game that everybody owns and has a huge resurgence right now, so I figured it'd be a good time to play it. But ultimately, I did not pick it. The other one, which is a similar style game, was Dragon Quest Builders 2, because I bought it and haven't played it, and I want to play it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I also have that, and I really want to play it. I forgot I owned it until you just said something. So
Yeah. And then my winner, based on the fact that we're all going to be playing it anyways because an expansion's coming out for it this month, is Monster Hunter World.
ooh, good pick.
Yeah.
I'm sure that everybody will be very happy with your
So,
pick. Awesome.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World.
Monster World or Iceborne? Probably Monster Hunter World.
I mean, Monster Hunter World, if you play Iceborne, awesome. But that's
Yeah.
why I'm picking it, because I'm going to be playing Iceborne anyways. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's great, because now I have to play it, but also I don't have an excuse because I have to play something else. Because there's always some game I'm like, but I want to play this, but this great game is an obligation. So
Yeah.
cool. So in September, we will be playing Monster Hunter World, picked by Chevy. And I think we're all, I was going to ask how everybody feels about that, but I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page.
Horrible.
Horrible. I actually sat around and played the Iceborne beta. I was gonna hop in. I was like, I'll just beat all the monsters on the list, and I'll leave. And I ended up playing that for like fucking 3 hours, just straight. And I was like, oh yeah, I love this game. So I'm really excited to hop back into that. And I fucking finally kind of like riding a bike, man. Like I forgot how to play the game because I hadn't played it since its launch, essentially. And then I hopped back in, and I was like, oh shit. And now I like learned it all again. So I'm like, I'm feeling confident. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm feeling very
not,
confident.
but I'll get there.
Yeah. So yeah, Monster Hunter World, September. Make sure to download that, play that, and we'll talk about that at the end of September. We have Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us. Did not add that yet. Is there anything else I missed in the intro before we go into Chris's catch-up?
Dude, I don't know at this point, to be honest.
Make sure to download and play Batman Arkham Knight and Darksiders 3 in September as well. We'll be talking about that on Plus Club. This is a very unorthodox and very fucked up intro, but we're getting into it. I swear, Keith, we're going to talk about it, okay? It's coming.
Never.
Before we talk about Ori and the Blind Forest, Chris did miss last month's Game of the Month where we talked about Final Fantasy X. I almost said 14. Yeah, so me and Chevy had a conversation about it. We both graded it. I don't even remember the grades, but I think they're both pretty high.
Yeah.
I think yours actually surprised me because it was a little lower than I thought you were going to go, but you were mostly revisiting the game in retrospect. So it changed your opinion. That was actually my first time playing the game fully through. And I thought it was a good conversation. So make sure to go back and check out our Final Fantasy X Game of the Month discussion, which was a month ago. But Chris was not there. So real quickly, give us your impressions on Final Fantasy X when you played it and a grade.
Short and simple. This is also a revisit for me. I beat it a long time ago. The whole time, while it was entertaining, I found myself wanting just to play Final Fantasy X too, because I'm a bigger fan of that game, gameplay-wise. And I just wanted to play it really bad. It's not a bad game. It's fun. The remake is nice. Updated graphics are nice, but overall, it still feels kind of like a revisit, and something else could be there. But I give it a B+ overall.
Fair.
I think it's about where I graded it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Because I think I gave it like a B or B+ too.
Yeah, I think it was a solid B. If you guys remember, feel free to remind us below. So, but
They don't. They don't remember what we say. They're just like, dance, monkeys, dance. I'm not going to remember this by tomorrow.
Yeah, I know I had basically said that it wasn't as great as I had remembered it, though it was still a fun game. There was definitely some things that did not age well. So
Seeing your guys' grades, even though I think they're completely fair, especially from my perspective of playing it, I think they're absolutely fair because I agree with them. I was surprised because this being one of the Final Fantasies I skipped over for my own biases of going, I'm not really into the world, the characters, and the coloring and all that shit. I always heard about this one as much as Final Fantasy VII. And I said this in the episode, but I feel like this is everybody's Resident Evil 2. Like, I played Resident Evil, I fucking loved Resident Evil, and then Resident Evil 2 came out, and that's the one everybody got started on, and they went fucking crazy with it. And when you talk about, I love Resident Evil, they're like, yeah, I started with Resident Evil 2. I feel like Final Fantasy X was that for a lot of people. I think it was when it first, burst into the mainstream, because even when Final Fantasy VII came out, as famous as it is, and how everybody's heard of it and played it and blah, 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 when that came out and we had played it, there was less people who were talking about it and playing games like that at the time. I remember even then when I was a kid, you were a fucking dork if you played video games, and you were an extra dork if you played RPGs. So, the zeitgeist had changed even by the time Final Fantasy X had come out. It was fully voice acted. It was, way better looking. And I think it was more accessible at the time. So I feel like that is one of the reasons why the nostalgia for that game is so strong. Because even just like Chris just said, he was wanting to play 10 too, which you were also saying something similar, which is the funner game. And I don't want to get into that conversation too deep because we already did this.
Right.
But it's just a really interesting observation.
No, I agree. I think you can say that with every generation of Final Fantasy outside of maybe NES, but even Super Nintendo, obviously, is Final Fantasy VI for most people. PlayStation, Final Fantasy VII was people's entry into the series. PlayStation 2, Final Fantasy X was their entry to the series. Like, every generation has their entry. The only one people don't talk about that was an entry point was 13 because it just wasn't the quality, the caliber that it should have been.
No one got started on 13.
So, well, and that's what
people got finished on 13.
But also the PS3 kind of didn't help it anyways with its high price of entry, and then just not having the support that it had, the Xbox 360 had essentially. So
yeah,
it was the oddest feeling ever buying a Final Fantasy game for an Xbox. Anything other than PlayStation, it felt so much like I was betraying somebody.
Oh, weird. I mean, I get it, I guess, but
yeah. Quick reminder: we're on Final Fantasy 14. We're on Crystal Coral.
Hey, good
Freak
job.
Company is Tasty Loot Gaming, I think.
Yeah.
So join us if you play that, and if you're on a different server, get the fuck off that server and join ours. What are you doing?
Or you can just roll an alt. That's okay.
I don't know. I don't play it as often as these guys. Okay, so we're getting into it finally. Thank you, Chris, for keeping us in the know on your opinions. They're very
timestamp this one.
very valued. So in August, we played Ori and the Blind Forest. This one's been on the list for a while. I was happy when it got pulled. Community member Keith has brought it up many, many times. He has been trying to get specifically me to play it, but I assume he would want anybody to play it. And we finally got around to playing it. So if you didn't get a chance to play Ori and the Blind Forest, and I'm going to be very vague about the story. In fact, I'm not even going to talk about the story because this is a game I feel like a lot of people... this is such a story-driven experience that... I really don't. You got to experience it. So, Ori and the Blind Forest is a story-driven, very animated-looking, whimsical platformer that is definitely in the vein of like a Metroidvania. And I actually read about it a bit. It's also inspired by Rayman, which makes a lot of sense. In which, how do I even describe the story in a vague way? It starts out super sad, and you run around a forest.
You're on an
around.
adventure to save the forest.
Yeah, yeah. Through that, you run into interesting characters. You do a lot of platforming. You level up with a very simple skill tree, and attain new abilities that allow you to go to different places you prior could not go to. So yeah, in that vein, it's very much like a Metroidvania type
100%.
game. I did a horrible job explaining that, but this is really a game you should just like shut up and play. Or watch for sure. I mean, however you want to go through playing it or experiencing it. There is an experience to be had here that I would not want to ruin for anybody. We all played it.
Yes.
What did you guys play it on?
PC.
Everybody play on PC?
Yeah. I made a mistake though when you buy it on Steam, you buy the definitive edition, but it also gives you the original edition. And I wasn't paying attention. I just played the original one, so that's the one I played.
I think I did too.
I played the definitive edition.
Okay.
What's different? What's definitive?
There's just more. There's actually more content in the game.
Okay.
So, and I think the map's bigger.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Played the lesser version. So yeah, how far did everybody get? I beat it.
You beat it?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Jesus, I did not. I played for about 2-3 hours.
Chris?
I think I got a third of the way through the game.
Okay.
I don't even know how to judge how far I am.
Well, I got a little over halfway through it, and then I looked up a thing without looking up the story, and it had said that there was like some odd amount of time left, so I sat through and did it. I haven't been sleeping like this whole... we've had a 3-day weekend, and I've just been fucking not sleeping. I'm like, I got an extra day. I don't have to sleep anymore. It's gonna suck tonight.
Yep.
'Cause I gotta work tomorrow. Baby's gotta work tomorrow. Okay, so and so I beat it. And I'm not even going to really be talking about like the story, but let's start with Chris. Give us your impressions of Ori and the Blind Forest throughout the month of August.
It is a very whimsical and entertaining game with some pretty crisp handling as far as controls go. If you're using a joystick, not the D-pad.
Can you use the D-pad?
Yeah,
Huh.
I plugged in my PS4 controller to play it.
I did too.
Because there's certain mechanics like latching onto enemies, projectiles, and launching yourself up that don't work very well with the D-pad. It kind of like you have to angle it the right direction, and the D-pad will just continue angling from wherever your cursor was last pressed. So if you let go and then continue again, it just doesn't line up properly. It's the only problem I had. But overall, I found the game entertaining in a kind of like Legend of Zelda-esque way. There were so many different ways to go about exploring everything, and I kind of got lost throughout the map because it was so big. It was so vast.
Mhm.
There is kind of a set way to go about it, but there's alternate like routes to go to where you need to go, so it doesn't feel like you're confined in a hallway like story game. It was very entertaining.
It reminds me of Dark Souls in some ways too, because there will
Hmm.
be routes that you'll open up to be a shortcut now from one way to another, as opposed to the long route you took. Also, I think they do a good job at the map is pretty simple. So, like, if you do start kind of going like, I don't know where the fuck I am, if you open up the map, it's all laid out pretty clean. So because there was a couple times where I'm like, wait, am I supposed to go to the left and up, or am I supposed to go down here and back and around and shit? And I look at the thing, and then like a lot of times you can kind of like do the fast travel. You can do fast travel, right? Between the main
Yes, at
points.
shrines.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really use that a whole lot. I started getting kind of mixed up because I've been playing Control. It has a similar system, but yeah. So there's like one point I had to like warp out of an area because I was like, I don't want to fucking go back that far, like on foot. But yeah, I
The oth-
good.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was that the mechanics are consistent throughout the game, and that if you learn a new ability, it is used throughout the rest of the game. It's not like a one shot, like, oh, for this
That's good to hear.
use this mechanic only here. They are consistently used throughout the rest of the game, which I really enjoyed, because I get tired of those games where like, oh, here's your whirlwind shield, only use it here, never again. Haha, gimmick.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I would unlock something and I would be using it constantly in the gameplay, but also like its relevance didn't disappear to like the world design. So that is a really good point, because there are games where it's like, now that you've got this, the other things are kind of obsolete. Or like,
Yeah.
now this is the way you're going to get through all the ways you were going through, and that's definitely comes down to a how they planned the development, and if they were more creative with it, or more like, okay, how do we progress the game? There's fucking obsidian and you have to have this item to get through it, and that will keep them out of these areas, and once they get it, they can go to, it's like almost like
The barrier of entry.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a really good point, because it does do a good job at keeping things relevant constantly. I was constantly using all my abilities. So Chevy.
I mean, it sounds like I played this the least. But so my first impression is the game's beautiful. It's a very good looking game. And it had a very emotional beginning, which I was very, pleased to see. I did not expect to get that, I guess, out of the game.
Shit killed me, son.
I was just kind of expecting it to be,
Started like up.
here's the start point and go save the world, because that's, a lot of games. And I'm always surprised when they can actually evoke some sort of emotion. So props them on that. Controls are good. It was nice being able to play with the PS4 controller. I was playing on PC, so you can use your controller preference, but it worked, flawlessly, which was great. And it is, like you said, I think it was very perfect to put. It is a Metroidvania game. You are going to go back and forth a lot, which I don't mind too much. I actually, when I'm in the mood for it, that works for me really well. I mean, I recently bought Bloodstained. I need to play that more, but
I want to throw this in there real quick. That actually is typically like a real big turnoff for me. I've always appreciated and respected Metroid, of course, and any game like it. But that system of backtracking, even though it is in that way creative, a lot of games that aren't that kind of game doing backtracking is just annoying. But those games are designed to do it, because now things that you once could not do, now you can, and it's almost like unraveling a mystery. But so typically when I hear like Metroidvania, I'm like, I don't know, I probably won't be into it. But like sometimes it's just like roguelikes, you find one that's really fucking good.
well, some people are better at map design than others.
Exactly.
So,
And I think this game excels in that.
Yeah,
And
for
the
sure.
game's visual style makes it constantly interesting.
yeah, it's not boring to look at.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just dark and trying to be Metroid and metallic and stuff.
Yeah, I do. I like the systems in place. The simple, skill tree. I'm not saying simple in a bad way. I
Yeah, I
actually
didn't
think
mean
it
that
actually
either.
fits
Yeah.
the game very well, because you do still get some matter of choice on basically how you're going to start the game. Because
Well,
obviously by the end of it, you're going to have everything. But
It's nice because in a Metroidvania type game, typically you don't get much agency, because it allots you the abilities when you need them to progress. So you don't have much agency in the sense that you're not putting input into your character.
Yeah.
You're just experiencing the game the way they wanted you to. Whereas in this, it'd be hard to give you an advanced skill tree, nor would I even want one, because it's just allowing you some tinkering in this pre-planned adventure you're going through.
Right.
So it is cool that they give it to you, and it is nice because it's simple. And sometimes I like shit to be simple, because a lot of games nowadays are like an Ubisoft game that has way too much shit in it.
Yeah.
Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey,
Path of Exile.
Path of Exile.
It's
A
definitely
lot of
nice
games.
to be able to just sit down and play a game.
Yeah,
sure.
it's a platformer, but it has some input,
Some depth.
Yeah, and it's welcome, but it's not too much. I'm not like, fuck, okay, I got to grind this area out. It's not about that.
For sure.
It's about just go forward, experience the game, and watch your character get better.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, other than that, the other thing that kind of struck me was just design in general. Characters in the game are very unique and neat looking. Even like none of the designs were things I kind of expected, and the game was constantly really good about like when it would show me another like model of either an enemy or a character or something. I was like, oh, that's really neat looking. So there's a very imaginative team there. I'm sure the next game is not out yet, right? I'm sure they're just going to take that and roll with it even more. So that's very cool. Now, the part I had a hard time with, this game is very platform heavy. And
Chevy don't like jumping from one thing to another.
I don't like platforming. I don't mind mild amounts of platforming, but when you start doing like Super Meat Boy, when you're trying to get me to do like very specific, like if you fuck up you're dead type things, I'm not opposed to like struggling through it if it's gonna happen every once in a while, but like I don't find enjoyment in it the same way and I'm with Seth on this one, but Seth has said he doesn't really care for puzzles in games. Yeah, it's just not fun for me. So I got to a point in the game where it was getting very platform heavy, and I had to shut it off because I was just not having fun anymore. So that was a struggle for me. So if you don't like platforming, you might have a hard time in that regard. I'm not trying to do recommendations yet, but it is
Early recommendations.
Ugh.
Yeah, overall, I think there's a quality game here. It is difficult for me to play, but I have nothing but good things to say outside of that singular self-complaint. So.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know how long this game has been out, but I feel like it was fucking centuries ago. I was on YouTube and I was just fucking going down a rabbit hole, and I eventually found this YouTube channel, and at the time it was called Bubble. It was just this dude named Bubble, and he had a picture of an alien. There's this green, there's this green alien, and no, this Bubble's way different. And it's this dude, and he speaks English, but he speaks like a really weird English. He says really weird words, and I was just intrigued. I'd watch his videos. He was trying to make like top 5 videos, and I would just watch his videos because like he just said things so weird. I think now the website, fucking the YouTube channel is called like Amazing Animals or Animals Are Awesome or something like that. He changed his brand, but anyway, he did these top 5 videos, and he had this video of like animals versus each other or whatever. Is really dorky, and one was like eagle versus goat. And it shows the guy's like, the powerful eagle flies down and he grabs the goat, and it showed this eagle fly down, grab a goat, and then suddenly this beautiful, whimsical score just swells. And it's like, oh, and it shows this fucking eagle throw this goat off a cliff, and it just goes flying, it hits the cliff, starts rolling down. The music just builds, and it's just gorgeous music, beautiful. And I was watching this. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? And I go down to the comments, and people are like, did they take Ori and the Blind Forest soundtrack for that goat part? I was like, that was weird. Why would you fucking put that kind of music to a goat flying off a cliff? So that was my first introduction to Ori and the Blind Forest. Was Bubble. So thank you, Bubble. After that, I was like, that was a really good score. That was like really good music. I just didn't think I'd be watching that music. That aside, I finally got around to playing this. Shout out to Keith. He bought this for my birthday back when that happened, which was a long time. January. That's my birthday. That's when that happens. So I've had this game
Annually.
since then. Yeah, it happens annually. I've had this since then. I tried to dabble in it a bit, but then I kept wanting to like stream it and play from the beginning, and this whole year's been a fucking mess. So that didn't happen, but finally got around to playing it this month, and it's especially with how much Keith has hyped it up to me. He's like, play it. I want you to play it. I was like, I'm gonna play it. Finally played it, and this game's fucking amazing. It's really, really fucking great in every way, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm really big on like art styles and creativity when it comes to how people do like specifically like 2D games. And one game that we've talked about prior that I really liked way more than I thought it would was Rayman Legends. Reading about this game, apparently that was a big influence. That makes a lot of sense to me. What people can do with 2D platforming experiences in modern day is really amazing to me. And playing this really shows that off. In fact, I think it's probably outside of Rayman peak what you can do visually in a game like this. Like I've not seen a platformer look as good as this game. The art style is beautiful, amazingly rendered. Animations are fantastic. The character designs are awesome. You touched on that a bit, but they're very unique. I was looking at what was her name, Nuru, the chubby.
Yeah, I don't remember her name, but yeah,
Chubby lady in the beginning. That fucking just gutted me right in the beginning of the game. I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Super sad shit. I was like, I don't want to start a game like this. This is like Up. This is such a fucking, I don't know. It's like when I watched that movie, I was like, oh, I'm going to watch a kid's movie. And then that happened. I'm like, what are you doing? Same thing with this. Like I started playing it. I'm like, I was like, oh my God, I love this. They're all walking around building bridges together and collecting food and stuff. And then people are starting to get sick and die and shit. I'm like, oh my God, stop. What are you doing? Anyway, the music is fantastic. Bubble used it. I like it. It's really good. It's a fantastic soundtrack that really plays well to the visual style, especially with the cutscenes that happen. It's a really amazing experience, and a treat just to watch people make something like this. Gameplay wise, I think it's really tight. I think it plays really well. I think the pacing is really good when it comes to unlocking abilities. I never feel like I'm stuck with this ability and haven't got a new one for too long. The routing of the map isn't bad at all. That's typically something that will kill a game like this for me. After a while, I'll be like, fuck, I don't even know where the hell is going. I never really felt like that in this game. I also, in games like this, I'm always like, oh God, I feel like I'm missing something. I don't want to leave this area. This game's really good about letting you know if you've fully completed an area. You can also unlock early on like an ability that will show you what's on the map. There'll be like a little yellow dot and saying there's something there. So that's a really easy way to go back and kind of make sure you got everything. And some of the stuff is just like experience anyway. Yeah. It's not something huge. So like you can just continue the game without grabbing that. But for any completionist or someone who feels like they've accomplished every obstacle in the game and every like platforming puzzle, you're definitely going to want to do that. The game does get challenging, which I liked. This game and its fluffy visuals is really deceiving because it starts off pretty simplistic, but then like once you unlock around like the double jump area, you start getting to areas that I think is probably around the part you stopped playing, where you'll have like you start getting into these like really weird like portal style puzzles where you have to go through this side, come out that side, and then push something through here and drop it there and have some energy thing go through it and go into that and shit. And I'm not a big fan of puzzles, but I don't mind platforming. In fact, I love it. So once I start getting tunnels full of thorns and I had to like leap through and double jump through that, that's my jam. I love that shit. I love anything in a game where I'm like leaping around, jumping. So I dug that. And yeah, the story, even though I pretty much got the basics of it, after I beat it, I had to kind of look at a summary to get like some straight up facts on it, because it's narrated, but it's all, kind of like I hesitate to say a kid's movie, because the beginning starts so fucking tragic. It's not a kid's game, but the story is pretty like straightforward in the sense that it lays it out like, oh, this bad thing happened, you got to fix it. But, I didn't really feel like I got much from, the world or understood exactly what was happening. So I had to like look up some stuff. Which, it does a fine job telling it. I just wanted to know more. But I liked the story for what it was. It's definitely a game, though, that like I'm trying to really tiptoe around talking about it because this is not an experience I would want to ruin for anybody. Like literally, if someone asked me like, should I play this? I'd be like, yeah, just play it. Well, what's it about? Just play it. Like, check it out. If you like platformers, check it out. Early recommendation. And yeah, overall, I mean, I really enjoyed this game in every aspect. It does remind me of Rayman a lot. Obviously, the design is Metroidvania-esque, but it does earn its spot up there with like, because after I played Rayman, I'm like, this game. And if you look it up, people love Rayman. Everyone loves it, or most people do if they've played it. But you know, that one needs to be up there with like the best platformers of all time, especially in modern time. But Ori, I think, absolutely deserves to be up there as well. I haven't seen a platformer made with this kind of quality like ever outside of like Rayman. They've really put a crazy amount of work into this game. And I can't wait for the next one to come out because this game came out a while ago. I'm playing it now. I'm super impressed by it. So I can't imagine what they've been able to accomplish with the new one. I think also the amount of time it takes to beat the game is a good amount of time, especially for, I don't know how big the dev team is, but you know, it's short and sweet, but they're also animating so much that is going to make the development hard. So you can't make a game like that too long. But a game like this, you know, platformer, Metroidvania, it's not really my style of game anyway. So if it's shorter, it's better for me because there's a better chance I'll actually beat it. So, you know, it's perfect time. And yeah, what else can I really... I mean, it's a platformer, so it's hard for me to get really deep into it. But yeah, it's a beautiful experience. Oh, one thing I wanted to add as well is I constantly felt the same that I felt when I played a game like Journey, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, What Remains of Edith Finch. And this is a platformer game, so it's not even the same style of game, but I had the same feeling when I was playing when it came to my intrigue, when it came to the story, because it is very narrative driven. Everything is animated. Every couple feet you walk, there's something happening to kind of make you want to keep going forward. So I might throw that into my recommendations once we get to that point. I'm already ready to tell people to play it. And yeah, it was just really fun, really beautiful, well crafted. Enjoyed everything about it. Anything you guys want to add?
No, not really.
I think the map art is done in such a way that it flows really organically. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like some games where like you open the door and it's like a completely different set of tile sets and whatnot. Everything just kind of flows real smooth
I
and
see.
natural.
Transitions well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I actually wasn't even thinking about that until you said something, and now I'm like, you know, I don't really remember when I did fade into another like zone. It does a really good
Everything
job.
just kind of smooths right into the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird example, but like a bad example of transitioning is usually MMOs are really bad about like you zone into another zone and all of a sudden it's a completely different environment. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so yeah, it's
As soon as you walk through
Yeah.
the gates, it's just a different area. Or even when this game introduced new areas, it's like, now you got all these places you got to go to. I assumed you were going to go to a point and like teleport there. I didn't realize you transition walking over there, which is very cool because I barely noticed it. And then once it said where I was like, oh wait, I didn't realize I came over here. I thought I was just still in the first zone. So it's a really good thing to point out for sure, because that is kind of a tricky thing to do. But I think that still goes to the dedication they put into making this game such a streamlined experience that even they put that amount of work into moving to different areas and stuff.
Yeah.
So it just goes with the whole experience of just being this story being told. And you never, when I was playing this game, I wasn't really thinking of it as like a video game, even though it is a platform 100%. I felt like I was watching something. I felt like I was watching like a cartoon or something like that. So, yeah, I think that transition really, really helps with that experience. So
yeah.
it's a really good point. Unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about, we can hop into recommendations.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll start this off. I think everybody should try this game. It's a really open, broad recommendation, but I do think most people could try this game at the very least and probably enjoy it. But to be more specific, if you are a fan of Metroidvania games, this is a must. I think you have to play this. If you don't have an Xbox, it's on PC, so get it on Steam or wherever you get your games. But if it's on Xbox, or if you play on Xbox, get on there. I think it's on Game Pass as well, so you don't have to buy it. But yeah, if you have not tried this and you're into that kind of game or platformers in general, I think this is definitely a must play. If you are into games like Journey, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, What Remains of Edith Finch, narrative-driven type games, I think you could probably get some enjoyment out of this because of the gameplay that I think is welcoming to most people. It's pretty basic. If you ever played a video game, you're going to understand how to play this game, and be able to play it just fine. But if you like those games where there is a story to unravel and a visual story that's going to unfold in front of you, that's what this game is, 100%. If you're a fan of Rayman, this is definitely going to be right up your alley. I'm a fan of Rayman, and I really enjoyed this. If you like platformers in general, not just Metroidvania, definitely give it a go. Yeah, if you're a fan of art styles in games, unique art styles, sometimes you get those games that people talk about, and you look at it and it's got that style that you're just like, yeah, that doesn't look like anything else. I mean, this is definitely a must play, especially if you enjoy how devs can do animation in games and see the more artistic side of game development. This is absolutely in that area, so I would definitely recommend it to you as well. But yeah, outside of those very specific ones where I feel like it's a must play, I feel like most people could play this game for sure.
I mean, I agree with everything you said. The only thing I'm going to add is if you are a person who buys consoles for exclusives, if you have an Xbox, this is one of those games to buy for Xbox.
Support it.
That I think is worth picking up, because obviously not every exclusive is good. So
Sea of Thieves, it is good. I didn't mean that as an insult. Yeah. I don't want Xbox. I go, what the fuck? It's good. I like it. I got Gears 5 pre-installed right now. We'll talk about that soon too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only addition I really have, though, is if you're looking for an Xbox only game, if you're playing on console, then yeah, pick it up.
I never played Gears 3 or 4.
I didn't play any Gears.
I played the first one. I was very upset. Chris.
I don't really have much to add other than my usual recommendations for children. If you have an older child, maybe like 11 or 12, I think this is a good platformer for them, because it does get very challenging at times. Younger kids are going to have a very hard time later on, get very frustrated, because there's a lot of mechanics you have to remember how to use later on in the game. But I think anybody who really enjoys Legends of Zelda, like the older Legends of Zelda, would really enjoy this.
Yeah, if you want to traumatize your kids, just let them play the beginning. I was traumatized.
People watch up, so
yeah, and that was a big fucking ruse. They goddamn tricked us all into that.
Yeah, well,
it's like Finding Nemo. You start the video, you hit skip to the next scene, and it skips that awful beginning.
Yeah, that shit's sad. It's tragic. Although,
let people experience tragedy.
That's a vague statement that can mean a lot of things. There's a lot of tragedies throughout history that I wish people didn't experience. The ending, though, without talking about it, just get to that. Just get to that. If you don't like that beginning, just get to the ending.
I'm going to need you to tell me about it now. But
beat the game.
We're done recording.
Beat the fucking game. Beat it. Let's get into grades, Chevy. What's your grade for the whimsical game, Ori? Blind Forest. I can't see.
I mean, so like I said before, I think it is a good game, and everything about it I think is done very well. It's just a not for me game. So
Z-.
I'm going to try to be fair about it, because like on a personal level, I'm never going to play it again. That being said, I do think most people would find enjoyment in it, and I do think it is a quality made game in every aspect. I honestly cannot think of something about it that's bad. So I do want to give the game a solid B. I think it is a very good game with room to improve, which they may do with the sequel. So I think, like Seth said, if you're looking for a game, that pretty much anyone can play, this is it, and you should at least try it. So.
All right, fair. B. I'll jump in. Fuck it. I'm gonna give this an A, solid A. Like Chevy said, there's nothing wrong with this game at all. In fact, I think it excels in almost everything that it does. It's a very beyond competent platformer. It is amazingly created with a beautiful score, great visuals, awesome storytelling, good story, perfect amount of time that you put into the game. It's not too long, it's not too short, engaging gameplay, tight controls, interesting abilities, simplistic skill tree that still gives you some kind of agency in you participating in the progress of your character. And yeah, everything about this game is just stellar. I think it is a really high bar that they created among some other people who also are making games like this, that just has created like the high standard of what a AAA platformer should be. If you can't match this, you're not as good as these guys, in my opinion. I mean, they really are that good. The people that made this game, it's stellar in every way. So, and it's not even my genre. It's not even a genre I typically would be that into, but the quality's just there. And I was thinking about giving it an A-, but there's no reason for me to go that low. The only reason I wouldn't go an A+ is because like I'm not in love with it, but I do love it. I love it, but I'm not like, it's not like my game. But for what it is, that genre that I don't typically get into, it is, in my opinion, as a modern game, one of the best that there is to offer. So it has to, in my opinion, get at least an A. So, Chris.
I am also going to give it an A. I was kind of wavering with the A- because there's a few things here and there that kind of frustrated me, but it's probably more on my gameplay style than mechanics of the game itself. So it's hard for me not to give it an A beyond that. But yeah, a solid A. It's graphically, it's fun. It's thematically tight. It's just so well built, and it's a work of love. It really is.
Yeah, nobody made this because they were supposed to. They made it because they wanted to, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
and it shines through in the gameplay and the story.
Definitely. All right, so 2 A's, 1 B. All good grades. Anything else you guys want to add?
Well, we gotta polish off the rust for this month, though.
Yeah. Bubble, if you get any views from my channel, make sure to give me a shout out. And let us know as if that dude's gonna watch this. That guy's so big now. I think he's got like 1 million subs now. It's fucking crazy. Let us know in the comments. Did you play Ori and the Blind Forest? What did you think of it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? If you haven't played it, why haven't you played it? Did you play it on PC or did you play it on Xbox? Are you supporting that fucking Xbox? You should be. And what would you grade it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Let us know in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month. Quick reminder that we are going to be playing Monster Hunter World in September. Chevy picked it, so make sure to play that. Iceborne coming out very fucking soon. A lot of games are coming out this month. We're going to be covering that on the next Tastecast, episode 100. Stay tuned for that. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook at Tasty Gaming. Check out my streams. Links down below. I'm on Mixer, YouTube, and Twitch. Everything. Chris is on Twitch at Tasty_fruit. Still working on that transition, but fucking, I'm on everything now, so I'm just like, go down there.
Links are below, yeah.
Just go down there. And yeah, we have a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. And we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us in audio form. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
And stay tuned. We got Tasty Tuesday coming up tomorrow, so make sure to check that out. Chris will be joining us. And yeah, until then, have a good night, guys, and take it easy.